Now as we did the Boyle's law, Charles' law, Avogadro and Gay-Lussac's law, so now this is the time to start with the ideal gas. So you know that what is actually ideal gas? In normal routine we get to see two types of gases. One is an hypothetical gas, that is the ideal gas, and the other gases are those which we generally observe in a daily routine, and they are something called as real gases. So they actually have a major difference, there is a major difference in their behavior. Like if we talk about ideal gases are those gases which actually obeys all the laws at all condition of temperature and pressure. As I told you, the Boyle's law, Charles' law, so these gases actually obey all those laws, whatever may be the condition of temperature and pressure, but still they obey that law, all the laws. But if we talk about real gases actually, so they do not obey all these laws at all condition of temperature and pressure. This is not like that they don't obey actually. They obey it, but they obey at certain condition of temperature and pressure, not all condition of temperature and pressure. So real gases are those which obey laws, all gas laws what we did, only at specific condition of temperature and pressure. And you know that what is that specific condition? That specific condition is something, the high temperature and the low pressure. High temperature means that means the particle should possess the more energy, right? And the low pressure is that it is not an internal pressure actually. I told you that keep in mind that whenever I am mentioning the pressure, I am talking about the external pressure, right? So it obeys actually at the low pressure and high temperature. So you know that why there exists a difference like that ideal gases behave in such a manner and real gases do not behave in such a manner. The reason behind that is this, that ideal gases actually take into a view that there are no intermolecular forces exist between the gaseous molecules. But in real we know that there are intermolecular forces that exist between the gaseous molecules also, although the strength may be low, but still they exist. So ideal gases do not take that thing into account. They say that there is not at all any intermolecular force between the gas molecules. They are moving independent to each other. But when we talk about real gases, we know that the forces exist, right? So this actually take into the account the forces. That is why it obeys these law only at specific condition of temperature and pressure. So what happens? So as I told you that they obey as ideally at high temperature and low pressure. You must be thinking like that why they are behaving at such particular condition, why not at high external pressure and low temperature? So I am just going to explain you with a logical experiment. Suppose I have a balloon, right? So this is my balloon filled with gas. As you can see, it is a fully tight balloon. Now what I am going to do is I am going to supply it with heat. So when I supply it with heat, the gaseous molecules will take up that energy and they will start moving randomly. And as they move, as their thermal energy gets increased or as they move randomly, so that means the intermolecular forces between them at this time is very less, right? This is what we need actually. So we say that at this moment, that is at high temperature, when the particles are possessing so much thermal energy that they are moving very far away from each other such that the intermolecular forces are almost nil, that time the real gases behave ideally. This is what the condition which is required to behave ideal as an ideal gas, you know that. Likewise, if I say that if we apply low external pressure, suppose I have a balloon, I am not applying pressure from outside. My applied pressure is very low. So that means I am not forcing the gas molecules to come closer, and as they will not come closer, they will not possess any more strength of intermolecular force. This is what actually we are seeking for, that when there is no intermolecular force, then only the gas behave ideally, that is, it obeys all the all laws Boyle's, Charles, Avogadro, Gay-Lussac, at all condition of temperature and pressure. So this is clear, I think, that the real gases do behave ideally, but not at all condition of temperature and pressure, only at a specific condition, and those conditions are, one is the lower external pressure and the second is the high temperature. So this is what we need is. So you must be thinking that why I am not stating an example for ideal gas, or why I am not stating for example for a real gas. So actually the ideal gases do not exist in nature, they are actually hypothetical, they are imaginary, right. The gases which we encounter in daily routine are all real gases, but they can behave ideally, right, but at what specific condition? At low external pressure and high temperature. So this is what is the differentiation between the real and ideal gas, and it is a major distinction actually, right. So this is what is an ideal gas and real gas. Now we are going to derive an ideal gas equation. As we know that the ideal gases are, what are the ideal gases? So now we are going to derive an ideal gas equation. See, look at the board. This ideal gas equation is actually obtained by clubbing different laws. So what we have learned previously, we have learned that from Boyle's law, pressure is inversely proportional to volume. That is from Boyle's law. Then Charles' law stated that volume is directly proportional to temperature. And Avogadro law stated that volume is directly proportional to number of moles, right. And we also got that pressure is directly proportional to temperature from Gay-Lussac's law. So now what I am going to do is, I am going to club all these four statements, right. So what I will get when I club them all? So this I get PV is equal to nRT. When you will club everything, you will get PV is equal to nRT, and this is my ideal gas equation. And what is this? P is corresponds to pressure, volume, number of moles, R is my universal gas constant, and T is obviously a temperature. Now you must be thinking that we'll be having a definite value for pressure, we'll be having a definite value for volume, we'll be having a definite value for N and T. Then what about R? What we are going to take R? So R has a specific value, and the value which you will be using for R totally depends upon the units which we are using for pressure and volume, right. So it is 0.82 liter atmosphere per Kelvin per mole. Like if the volume is in liter, pressure is in atmosphere, temperature is in Kelvin, moles obviously in mole, then what value you are going to use for R? It is 0.82 liter atmosphere per Kelvin per mole. And if volume is in centimeter cube, then you will be using the value 82.1 centimeter cube per Kelvin per mole. And likewise, if you take liter and atmosphere into consideration and want a value in joule, so you will be using 8.314 joule per Kelvin per mole. These values might be appearing difficult to you, but it's not so difficult. What you need to do is, you just need to know the units, and the time you will be well versed with the units, you will be well versed with the value. So it's actually just a shuffling of the decimal. As you can see, it is 0.82, here it is 82.1, and here it is 8.314. Right. So this is what you need to remember, and it plays a crucial role as when we will be solving a numericals, we have to look for that what are the units actually which are involved in the pressure and volume. Likewise, we will be using the value for R. So but in that case, if you take a wrong value, then your question is going to be completely wrong. So just concentrate on the value what you are taking for R, right. So this is what is the ideal gas equation. Now as we have got an ideal gas equation, now we can actually derive the relation between the density and the molar mass. So what is our ideal gas equation? It is PV is equal to nRT, right. And in this, what does N signifies? Obviously N signifies moles, which is equal to the given mass over molecular mass. So this is what I am going to do is, I am going to put this value of N in this ideal gas equation. So just look at the board, what we get. We get M over M RT. So this is what we have. Now I can just shuffle the position of molar mass and the volume. See what I get after shuffling. I get this. right? And I think you can just look that mass per unit volume. What is mass per unit volume? Obviously it is density. So we can write MP is equal to density R into T, or molar mass is equal to dRT upon P. So this is what is the expression for the molar mass. So molar mass is equal to dRT upon P. That means it is actually a directly proportional to the density. So this relation actually you can use in the numericals. So wherever you need to find molar mass of the gas, there you can use this expression, right? So this actually relates the density and the molar mass of the gaseous substance. So this is what is the relation. So now it's the time to take up a practice problem. So this practice problem I have for you. So look at the board, what is there? It is at 25 degrees Celsius. So I'll write, this is my temperature obviously, 25 degrees Celsius and 760 mm of mercury. That means my pressure. And the gas, again, I have a gas maintained at temperature this, maintained at pressure this, and it occupies a volume this. So this is my volume obviously. 600 ml. Now what we need to find is what will be its pressure. So that means we need to find P2 at height where temperature is 10 degrees Celsius. Temperature is 10 degrees Celsius and the volume of gas is 640. And you need to find that at certain height. So if I can recall this thing, if you can remember that I told you that as we go on height, the pressure becomes low. So at this moment, at this place, we have the pressure 760. We are moving to a certain height. So obviously the pressure is going to be low. So that means our answer should be less than 760 mm of mercury, right? So let us start the problem. Before starting, the first step is always to check the units. So you need to check the units. Mm of mercury, this we need to find, ml, and this is 25 degrees Celsius and this is 10. So we need to convert into Kelvin, right? So this is my temperature, now converted into Kelvin. So what you need to do is you just have to put the formula. It is P1 V1 upon T1, P2 V2 upon T2. Why I am not taking N must be striking your mind. The reason behind that is because we are talking about 1 mole of gas, that is why. So now we need P2, so I can just shuffle them up. So P2 is something equal to P1 V1 into T2 divided by T1, and once you will put the value P1 as, I will put it here, P1 as 760, V1 as 600, T2 as 273 plus 10 divided by T1, which is 25 plus 273, and where is my V2? Obviously we have to divide it, 640, right? And after solving that, what you get is, we get 676.6 mm of mercury. So this is what is the pressure, and as you can see here at certain position it was 760, and as we move to a certain height it drops to 676.6. This is what I wanted you to know, that as we move to a certain height the pressure is actually gets less. That is why our answer is less than 760, about 676.6 mm of mercury. So this is what is the ideal gas, okay.